Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar for your workspace setup. My name is John Bowman, and what we're going to be doing today is walking you through setting up your workspace from nothing. Now, this webinar is ideally something we start doing weekly. And inside of that weekly webinar, we will be, again, bringing you into an account that has not been built out at all, but will allow you to see exactly how to do that. My name is John Bowman, and I'm really excited to have you all here today. In fact, how many people do we have on this? Wow, a couple hundred people. That's great. I love to hear where people are located as well. If you could, feel free to just hop into the chat and tell me where you're located. I'd appreciate it. I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and it is actually about 50 degrees outside, which I am extremely happy about. If you can't hear my voice, I am very excited. It's been a long and cold winter here, and I'm excited because I'm doing something fun today, which is I'm going to take a walk in that 50-degree weather. So if you want to put in what you're doing today for fun, that'd be great too. We've got Barbados, Uruguay, Michigan, Philippines. Oh, wow. Belgrade, Serbia. Wow. Italy, all over the world, folks. Tennessee, Warsaw, Poland, Pakistan, Philadelphia, my friend from Pennsylvania. That's great. Well, that's really exciting, folks. I'm happy you're all here today. Oh, keep coming in from Germany, from Florida. ClickUp truly is a global community and a global application to make sure we're saving you time. So let's talk about what we're going to be talking about today. Today's agenda, we've got 3 items we want to discuss. First is why should you use ClickUp, right? What is the point? What's the whole reason to do it? Second, we're going to get into how you should organize your ClickUp workspace. And third, we're going to, after we've organized our workspace a little bit and shown you how that structure and work will be organized, we get into the template center and a little bit of task views. So this is all very basic stuff, and ideally it helps you to arm you with the ideas and knowledge you need in order to build out your account the first time. We've set aside about 45 minutes for this call. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them while we're doing this webinar. We've got our wonderful coaching team and maybe some support members as well who are going to be answering the questions as we go. Additionally, this webinar is being recorded. So again, if you feel like you're missing something or you want to rewatch it, or maybe you just want to come back next week, feel free to just chat with our support team and they'll give you the recording, or come back next week and we'll do it all over again and we can answer your questions as we go. That being said, why use ClickUp? Well, our mission is to save people time by making the world more productive. I want to leave this on the screen just for a little bit longer because I actually passionately believe this idea that time is our most valuable resource, right? You will always end up potentially, hopefully, making more money, but you can't really make more time unless you get more productive, unless you do more in the time that you have. And so that's why I passionately sort of believe our mission. But how do we bring that mission to the world? Well, I usually like to bucket it into 3 ideas. We help you to focus, we help you with flexibility, and we help you with transparency. First and foremost, we're going to help you to minimize context switching. What I mean by that is we are one app to replace them all. You're not going to have to go back and forth between all these different applications to manage your life, manage your projects, manage your business. You don't need to be in 10 different applications at once. Instead, you can focus and minimize that context switching by doing all of your work inside of ClickUp. Not only that, but the idea of flexibility is rather important for our company as well. What I mean by flexibility is you work the way you want to work. We meet you where you are. We help you to work and to see your work the way you want to. If you like Kanban, you can work in Kanban. If you like lists, you can do lists. If you like spreadsheets, you can do spreadsheets. All these things are possible, and we'll show you how inside this webinar. And finally, it's the idea of transparency over your work, over what's happening. I love to bucket this into 2 ideas called the source of record and the source of action. ClickUp's going to become for you the source of record because you're going to go to it to see what's been done. Did you do something? Well, check it off inside of ClickUp. Make sure it's updated there. Or perhaps you're working with a team, in which case you're going to go to ClickUp to make it your source of record to see what other people have done or has happened so far. From that source of record, then you can get the source of action. When you know what you've completed, you can know what needs to happen next, because you'll build out your different tasks inside the program, and you can see them by due date or priority or however it is that you want to see them. We're going to help you to find your way and to get things done. Now, our mission, this has not changed for the last 3 years. We want you to be able to do all of your work in one place, and you shouldn't have to have different apps to do different types of work. We want it to be as flexible and as least opinionated as possible to accommodate you. I'm very happy about that. And I'm pretty confident in saying we've built a software that's going to work for pretty much everybody on this call. That being said, let's get into kind of the nitty-gritty of how this works. So how should you organize your workspace? This is an infographic. You can find it on our website. But what we're going to do here is just try to arm you with the words and definitions of those words to create sort of a shared vocabulary for us as we talk today and as you use ClickUp. This is something called the hierarchy. And the hierarchy is literally the levels of work that you can have inside of ClickUp. At the top of the hierarchy is the idea of the workspace. The workspace is going to be the place that you're going to dedicate potentially to your whole business, right? If you are somebody who's using ClickUp to keep track of what's ongoing in your business, you're going to keep everybody inside of one workspace. In fact, the analogy I like to give is your workspace is like your office building. Everybody's housed inside of that office building. And the work they're doing is all inside of that singular place. On the topic of work, we have the idea of tasks. Tasks are the units of work. They're how you gauge what you've done and what needs to be done inside the program. In between the workspace level and the task level, you're going to notice that there are 3 other options here for us to help organize us. First and foremost is the idea of a list. Your tasks must be on lists. There's no 2 ways about it. Every time you have a task, it's tied directly to a list. Additionally, if you'd like to, this is not mandatory, but you can take your lists and you can contain them inside of folders. Again, folders are just a great way to organize your lists. Finally, we have the idea of a space. And the space is best defined from the workspace level. Because remember, your workspace is your entire organization or your entire life inside of one location in the application. You can take that workspace and you can divide it up into spaces. If you are doing this for a business, those spaces might correspond to different departments inside of your business. Or maybe if you are a department inside of a business and you're using ClickUp, you might use spaces for high-level initiatives or large projects that you want to track. Again, generally speaking here, folks, you take a workspace, you can divide it up into a space. You can then take your spaces, divide them up into folders, and your folders will contain those lists with the tasks inside of them. Tasks can be divided up into subtasks as well, and the idea of checklists. We'll get a little bit more in depth as we go for this. Now that we've given you sort of a definition and try to arm you with the different vocabulary we're going to use today, I'm going to dive into the application, and it's actually going to be, when you see it, you may be shocked, but voila, this is a blank workspace. There's nothing built inside of this. This is probably something that you're seeing as well every day, or if you're a new user, you are seeing a blank workspace. What you can do with this workspace is a ton of different things, but what we're going to focus on is, again, driving home that idea of the hierarchy first before we build something out. And we're going to visualize that hierarchy by using a nice little feature inside of our application called mind maps. Up here at the top, there's a View Plus button, and we're going to select the mind map option and click Add View. We're going to select the blank option here. And don't worry if you're not following how I just did that. We'll go over the idea of task views in the future, but I just wanted to show you if this is something built inside the program. what we're going to do is start with the idea of a workspace. So you have your workspace, okay? Again, the workspace is going to house all of the different work that's ongoing. You may take that workspace and you're going to divide it up into different spaces. So we might have space 1, space 2, and space 3. However many spaces we want to have inside the program, we can have inside the program. The point is here is that you take your work and you divide it up, again, either by department, by high level initiative, perhaps by client. You can have 4 of these different spaces. At the space level, again, we can create folders. So we might have folder 1, folder 2, folder 3. And we can divide up our work folder, or for me, furthermore into those folders. Or like I mentioned, we can always add in potentially just a list by itself. So we can have list 1, list 2. These folders, like we mentioned, can contain lists. So we can have the idea of list 1 and list 2 inside of here. And your lists will contain your different tasks. So we can have task 1, task 2, and task 3. There's a nice little feature up here in the top right, which says relayout. When we click it, watch what happens. There you go. So this is the ideal work structure you're going to be building out inside of ClickUp. You're going to start at the workspace level. You're going to divide it up into spaces. Those spaces can each have folders or lists contained in them. Every list is going to contain tasks like we have here. And if we want to, we might need a little bit more complexity than just the task level, right? So what we can do is we can actually take tasks and we can create subtasks. We'll say subtask 1, subtask 2, and subtask 3. If you like, we can even take subtasks and go even further. So we can have nested subtasks. Layer 1. Again, nested subtasks, layer 2. But as you see, folks, you can create rather complex projects inside of ClickUp relatively easily. This nested subtask layers, in fact, you can actually go 7 layers deep. So if we wanted to, we could say nested subtask layer 2. We'll hit that relayout option. Again, what you'll be able to see is we keep going further and further, right? We can say nested subtask layer 2. This is what the hierarchy is going to look like from a visual perspective after we build it out. So we thought it was valuable for you to be able to see that. Now that we've explained how these things are going to be organized, we're going to actually ask for some audience participation. So as I mentioned, this is a blank space. And some of you on this call, you might have specific use cases you'd like us to see built out inside of the account. So if you would, go ahead and go into the chat right now and put in, a specific use case that you'd like to see. Ooh, service business, that's a good one. Inventory and contacts folders, advertising, ad schedules, service. Okay. Video production. All right. Looks like we're getting a lot in here. Monthly deadlines. Okay. Use case, online shop, Etsy, Shopify. These are all great suggestions. All right. So CRM, website articles. Okay. Website articles. Wonderful. Let's pick that one. That one kind of fits into the idea of marketing, as well as different, perhaps, advertisements that need to go on, or websites or videos or whatever it is that we're doing. So what we're going to notice here on the space level is there are 3 dots. These 3 dots, as you navigate our program, they're going to be your friend. Because whenever you click it, it's going to enable you to see the different options that are available on the level of the hierarchy we click those 3 dots on. In this case, what we're going to highlight for you here is the idea of our template center. So we mentioned a number of different use cases that are out there, right? You want to come into the template center and we can browse our templates. Now, inside of the template center, what you're going to be able to see are any community templates that we have available that we want to pull out. We can bring them in and take a look, right? So go through here and take a look at the different templates that are available to you. As you can see, we have 124 templates that we can use. They're from different levels of the hierarchy like we were just talking about. We've got 4 at the space level, 65 different folders, 15 lists or documents, right? So for this particular use case, I'm going to say it's called a marketing use case, or we could say website use case or something similar. So we'll say, marketing, website building, whatever it is we're doing for that particular area. Click the save option. You can see it's changed the name. And then we're going to go back inside of our template center. And inside of our browse template option here, we might just want to search for marketing. And when we do, you can see the list is going to react. And it pulls up those templates which would be useful for us. In this case, we're going to focus on the idea of folder level, because there's 11 different template options we can use here. And if we wanted to use one of these templates inside of our account, it's very easy to do. We might be building web pages. If we click the quick use option here, we can select use template. And when we use that template, we might say building websites is the name. We'll have the option to import only certain items if we want to as well. And if you want to review this, feel free to take a look at your leisure. Obviously, you can say, I don't want to bring in the due dates or assignees or watchers or whatever. Templates are extremely powerful inside of ClickUp in that fashion because you can decide what it is that you want to bring in or not. You can also get in the idea of changing the due dates in the particular project, as well as including archive tasks. When we click the use template option, you're going to see in the bottom left, it's going to highlight the idea of creating a folder. And then you'll see it says the folder template has been created. Take a look. We now have a folder that is for building websites. And this is the template for how to go about potentially building websites inside of your ClickUp account. The folder level says building websites. Inside each list we have here, it looks like it's dedicated to the different types of pages that we're building for that particular website, right? So each list is dedicated to, looks like we've got a supporting page here for the mission, for contact, for testimonials, for each task that has been added in. And that's what we're going to move on to here, is talking about the general idea of tasks, okay? So we can pull in as many templates as we want, but those templates are going to be populated by tasks, by lists, and by folders. The tasks we bring inside your account, think of them again as the units of work. Those things we are attempting to accomplish and get done. And if we were to click any task name, we're going to see the area called the task screen or task window, right? Here on the task window, there's usually 3 areas I like to highlight, potentially 4 if you're working with other people, that are best practices. At a minimum, every time you're using or doing work inside of ClickUp, you want to make sure you're updating statuses. You know why? Because statuses are important. Your statuses are your workflows that you're taking your work through. So if something's in progress, update it to say in progress. If something needs an update, select the update required option. These statuses are the statuses that are built inside of the template. You can edit or change these statuses to meet your unique work needs. Again, we're calling back to that idea of being flexible here, folks. We want to meet you where you are. And if you have a particular workflow that you'd like to follow, you can always update the status to reflect that workflow. The second best practice I love to show folks inside of tasks is assigning work. So this little plus button allows you to assign work to other people or to yourself. So I only have me in this account because, again, this is a brand new account. So I'm going to select my name from it. But if I did have other people inside of it, I could select them and we could have multiple people responsible for a particular task. The third best practice I love to show people is the idea of due dates, okay? Because you want to make sure that your work has a date or a goal that you want to get things done. We're going to give this a date of Friday. It's when it's going to be due. And if we wanted to, we could also give it a start date. Maybe we wanted to start it on Monday. You can select the close option there, and you'll be able to see we have a start date that was 2 days ago and a due date that is Friday. Generally speaking, for every task that you use inside of ClickUp, you want to use the status, the assignments, and the due dates. Not only because the status is going to allow you to update your coworkers or yourself, even if you come back, you may be like me where I don't have the best memory in the world. I need to have a system like ClickUp to keep track of the things that I've done and what I need to do next. And the status is great for that. But you may be trying to figure out some accountability systems at your place of business for yourself or for other people that you're working with. And if you want people to be accountable, then you have to give them a chance to account. And if they have to account for something, they need to be assigned to it, and they have to have a due date they're meant to hit, right? So at a minimum, always use those 3 best practices whenever you're doing work inside of ClickUp. A fourth, for those of you who will be working with others inside of ClickUp, is inside the comment section. You can use the comment section to post updates about different tasks that are ongoing, right? So you can just say, I did this thing today, right? So I posted the update because maybe I don't need to change the status, but I'm updating the person that I'm working with about the particular status or thing that I need them to help me with. Something else that I can do here is I can hit the @mention, and if I had other people inside the account, you'd be able to select those people and say something along the lines of, hey, can you help me with this? Right? We can hit that comment option to add that in. Okay. That's only going to be really valuable for you, again, if you're working with other people inside your account. But you want to use that to have conversations, because you can have inline conversations about things that people have said so far. I need help. You can add that in as a comment right there. So that's a brief overview of what you can do with tasks. Remember, tasks are important because they're where you're going to be doing work. We showed you that you can click into a task name to be brought to that work that you're supposed to do. But you may need to create tasks, in which case you just click the plus task button in the bottom right. That will allow you to create a task. Or my favorite is a keyboard shortcut, where I just type the letter T on my keyboard, and it does the exact same thing. I can quickly and easily add a task no matter where I'm at. Let's take a moment and add a couple more templates inside our account, just to give us more data to work with. Remember, you just click the 3 dots. When you click the 3 dots, you then select the template center and select Browse Templates. Once you have, I'm going to again narrow this down to marketing. And there's other folders that I can build in here. One might be tracking campaigns that we're going to use. So I can use that. And I'll just say tracking. There we are. I clicked the wrong button. My apologies. Just click that again. Template Center, Browse Templates, Marketing. And we're going to select the campaign tracking. Use template, paste that in, use template, give it an opportunity to populate some more tasks for us. As you can see, now we have a campaign tracking template built inside. So the reason why we wanted to show you adding more templates in here is because we wanted more tasks to play with. We wanted more data to show you things like task views, as well as what we call custom fields. So if we go back here to the building websites folder and we select the product pages list, we can see the tasks that are allocated to that particular list. Over here, each column is actually something we call a custom field. And custom fields are invaluable because they allow you to track things across the work that you do. So you may notice there's a specific design custom field here that says something like a secondary status, updates needed. Or if you have a development team, maybe they want to update that as well. Potentially you have a link to a Figma draft. You have a URL that you're pointing people to, or you just got quick notes you want people to see, as well as any initial progress. These are all examples of custom fields that you can have on the task level. But we wanted to show you how to create those custom fields as well and to see them here on the list. So in the top right, you can see there's a nice little plus button. When we click that plus button on the left side, you're going to see any existing custom fields. And if you select one, all it's going to do is make it visible. because the custom fields that are visible on the left side are custom fields that already exist inside of your account. So we can select any one of these and we can see it. Here we are, see how we can add them in. But you may want to create a custom field for your tasks in this list that does not exist yet. And that's really easy to do because you can click that plus option there and you can select the type of custom field that you'd like to use. In this case, maybe we might want to give something a rating. We can select that and we can say, overall design rating, right? We can say if it's, out of 5 or out of 3, and we can simply add that column in. Then we have the opportunity to rate that particular design or page that we've been building out, right? Rating was just one option. There's a myriad of different options here. Maybe you might want to use a particular dropdown, and have red, yellow, green as options. Or perhaps you want to see any files that have been uploaded. You can do that, as well as make things available for updating any texts or websites like we were showing previously. But generally speaking, you can create a custom field for this list very easily by clicking the plus button and adding it as a column. Or you can always click into the task itself and we'll see the custom fields right here on the task. Any custom fields that already exist will be visible. You can always click the show option there to see more. Or you can add in custom fields as well by clicking the add or edit custom fields option. And when we do, it's going to show you for this list, we have this custom field we just created. But for the folder, we have these custom fields that are available to us as well. And that's something that will call back to what we learned about from the hierarchy earlier. Remember, lists are contained inside of folders, and the hierarchy is top down. So if we add a custom field to the folder level, it's going to be available inside of the lists contained inside that folder for us as well. Okay? Wonderful. So we just showed you how to add custom fields again on the list level, as well as inside of the tasks. And if we go perhaps to another folder in here, you're going to see there's another list. And these will have its own unique custom fields, things like audience, cost per click, conversions, clicks, all that kind of stuff are things that you can track in here using the custom fields. But this is all data, folks, okay? What we're doing here is we're adding custom fields to our tasks. And our tasks are really the data we're working with. It's the things that we're attempting to do. And I'm using that data, that word data, intentionally, because I want you to start thinking about ClickUp as a database of your work. The reason why I want you to start thinking about ClickUp as a database for your work is because you can take that data and you can rearrange it really, really easily. That's part of the flexibility we were talking about earlier. Because again, you can take, potentially we're looking at tasks here inside of the campaigns list. And up here at the top of the screen, we have what we call task views. And task views are exactly what they sound like. They're different ways for you to view your tasks. Remember, your tasks are just data. So it's all the same data, just viewed in different ways. In this case, we have the list view, the board view, the calendar view, and timeline. The list view is going to be the default, okay? So just as every task needs to be assigned to a list, you can be sure that generally speaking, your list view for tasks is going to be the default that you're seeing. And here we're seeing our tasks in that list view. You can take what you're seeing and you can manipulate it a number of ways. Usually the three that folks want to hear about is the idea of filtering, of sorting, and of grouping. Each one of those is right here. You'll notice by default, your tasks inside of a list view are going to be grouped by their status. You can see the status right here at the top. Each one of these tasks that's listed here is in the running state, or the review state, or the pause state. And each task is grouped by that status. But if we wanted to, we could take these tasks and we could group them different ways. Maybe we might want to see them perhaps by due date, We can select due date, and you can see the tasks now that are overdue at the top, and tasks that have no due date down here at the bottom. We can take this data further, and maybe we might want to filter. So we can select a particular status, and we can say, I only want to see those tasks that might be in the paused status. You can hit the confirm option, and you can see the list is going to react. It brings us down to one individual task. We're going to remove that filter though, just so we have some more data for us to work with. But you can see how the filtering and grouping can be rather useful. The other thing we're going to show you here is how to sort the data. So you can take the start date. You can see there's a sort option here at the top of the column. When we click that sorting option, it's going to take our tasks and it's going to order them so that the oldest start date is at the top and the most recent is down here at the bottom. Sorting, grouping, and filtering are your friends. You can do that for any task view we're going to explore here. But generally speaking, you're going to want to create the view that you want to see. Any view that you've edited in this way, where you've grouped, filtered, or sorted, you also have the option to save. See the Save View option? We can click the Save View option here, and we'll save it. So that the next time we come back to this particular list, that view will be saved for us. And we'll be able to pick up exactly where we left off previously. So we're showing you how to see your tasks in list view, right? So we're showing you, again, just tasks that are grouped by due date. If we wanted to, we could even have multiple lists. As we can see, the number 2 up here indicates we have another list view. We can see only the tasks which are in the running filtered phased option, status option, my apologies. But we might want to take that data, this data that's visible here inside of the list view, and perhaps we might want to visualize it on board view. And we just select the board view option here, where you're going to be able to see that you can take tasks and you can click and drag them. This is the idea of Kanban, right? You can take different tasks, move them out through different statuses, and ideally you can complete your work that way. Or perhaps you might be somebody who likes to see your work on a calendar. That's okay. We want to help you there. So I'm just going to take a task here. I want to make sure that we're going to be able to see it. We're going to say it's potentially due today. And then we're going to click the calendar option. And when we click that calendar option, here we are, you can see I have a task that's visible today. Again, this is the same data. It's just presented to you on a calendar. And when we click it, you can see the same task view for us, so we can come into it. These task views are really a great way for you to be able to see your work the way you want to see it and to do your work the way that you want to do it. I want to call back to that idea of the hierarchy we were talking about earlier, because depending on your level or position in the hierarchy, it will increase or decrease the scope of tasks that you're visualizing, filtering, sorting, or grouping with. In this case, we're on the campaign list option, right? But let's say we went here to the building websites folder. Now this folder option has 3 lists inside of it, and each one of those lists has different tasks that are associated to that particular list. Well, if we scroll on the right-hand side, because we're on the folder level, you can see that there are groupings where we can see product pages. We can see the tasks that are inside that list. Then we have supporting pages. And again, you can see the tasks that are inside the supporting pages list. And if we scroll down, we can see the other pages, just like we have for the list view here. As you move up and down the hierarchy, you'll see your tasks that you can work with or manipulate will increase or decrease depending on the level you're located. So we're on the building websites folder, but if we perhaps went all the way up here to the marketing websites space, went back here to the list view, then what you're going to be able to see is it's going to have in scope all of the tasks contained inside all of the folders in all of the lists that are available to us. So we can do exactly what we showed you previously, where we can take all of these tasks for the entire space, Or indeed, if we wanted to go up to the entire workspace level, we can by clicking the everything level here. And we can group, we can sort by different priorities. We can group by different priorities, my apologies. We can also sort by due date. There we are. We can filter down to particular tasks that contain a particular tag if we wanted to, or to a particular person. And we can manipulate the data the way we want so that we can see the work the way we want to see it and save that view so we can always come back to it in the future. So these views are going to be very powerful for you. And like I said, we can always build out more of our space as we go. In this case, we added marketing as a particular space that we have on, but we might want to, if we have an entire company inside of our account, then we might want to add a new space. And we might want to add in, a space for, let's say, sales. We can have our sales team inside of our account. And I'm just going to go through this rather quickly for you, just to show you that we can quickly create a new space for a separate team. There we go. So see that? We've got now a sales space, and we can always add in more different spaces if we want to. And I want to review again the idea that you can come in and you can go to the template center and you can find those different templates that matter to you. So in this case, we're in the sales space. So if we type in the word sales, obviously we've got templates for CRM, for account management, and for invoices, all inside of here. What we might do is select that CRM template, type in the word CRM, and we can use this template so to build it out for us. Once again, in the bottom left, you can see it's creating the folder. Sometimes it can take a little bit longer than others, only because of the amount of the data that's going to be built inside of the space. But keep that in mind, folks, okay? What we're doing here is we're creating those spaces that are high-level initiatives or potentially different departments inside of our company. And we can each work inside of those spaces to make sure that we're doing the work that we should be doing and tracking the work that we should be doing. Okay, so that being said, I do want to go over a couple personal productivity tips before we open up the idea of questions here. First and foremost, we want to make sure we talk about the idea of home. See this home button? Home is amazing. I love home. You know why? Because what you can see is all your tasks that are due today, or tasks that are overdue, or tasks that are due next or unscheduled will be visible here. And anything that's due today, you can actually take and you can move it into your calendar and say, I'm going to get this thing done at this time today. That is a great way to start your day. You can come in and take your work and move it to the area of the calendar that you need to have in order to get the thing done, all right? Additionally, if you work with other people, you're going to see comments as well as done or delegated things inside of here. Up here in the right will be different trending options for you. And if there's particular tasks that you want to focus on, you have the ability to move them here into the lineup. And you should think about your lineup as your lineup of tasks. You can come here and you can denote those most important tasks that you're going to work on, and others can see your lineup and make sure that you're updating other people about what exactly you're working on right now. All right, so we've got about, let's say, 7 minutes left, and we can open up the floor for any questions that have come up. And I just want to check the Q&A for a moment. All right, so it looks like we have a question here that says, I'm interested in seeing a space with tasks set up for Scratch without using templates. Are we going to see that? Yeah, we can certainly do that. So what we can do is, again, create a space, right? So right here, we're going to click this add space option. When we click that space option, again, this space could be a high-level initiative or a department. In this case, let's call it project, or we'll say extremely large project. So we can say extremely large project. We're going to click the next option, where we have the option of changing colors as well as icons and uploading any visuals that we want to see. Additionally, we can make something private. If we're working with other people, we can make it private, or we can leave it public for the entire workspace, as well as selecting any particular statuses or workflows we want to take tasks inside of the space. So in this case, we're going to use the Scrum statuses, Scrum workflows. Well, next, you have the ability to enable ClickUps. ClickUps are features that you want to use inside of your space. So you don't have to use these if you don't want to. You can make it as simple as you want to. You can turn them on or turn them off. I generally recommend keeping things simple. So remove the things that you think you won't need. Additionally, you'll have the option to select default settings, right? We mentioned this earlier. Your list views are going to be your default views, but you can always say, I always want to see a calendar every time we're going to add something into the space. So we're going to hit the review space option, and it'll just check to make sure everything we selected is okay. And there we go. So what we've done here is we have created an extremely large project, right? Or maybe instead of one project, this might be extremely large projects. We can have them contained inside of, my apologies, let's just click the name here, extremely large projects, right? So we can review those changes and save it. So if we're gonna have really large projects, what we might wanna do is create a folder, and that folder might be something that's like project 1, right? We can create that folder to include project 1. And inside of project 1, we're going to have different lists. That list might be something along the ways, we might say phase 1. And then we might also create a list here that's like a new list that says phase 2. And then inside each phase that we're going to have inside of this space, we can add in individual tasks. So again, keeping this generic, we could have task 1, task 2, task 3 as we're building it out, what has to happen. We can do the same thing down here inside of phase 2. We have different units of work for task 1, task 2, and task 3. But this is the general structure that we do want to follow. We start with a high-level initiative on the space level, or again, department. We can then take folders if we want to, or in this case, we used folders, but maybe we just want to add a new list. And that list that we're going to have, this might be a small project that doesn't need a huge folder behind it. It's instead just a quick small project that has an individual task 2, task 3, or task 4 that we have inside of it as well. That's another option for us. But we can build out each individual list here with the relevant different tasks to that list and things that are important for it. One thing that's rather important we talked about earlier is the idea of custom fields. So remember, you just click this plus option and you can select any fields that already exist, as well as create any custom fields from the options over here on the right-hand side that are relevant to the structure and form that you're trying to do. All right. Wonderful. I hope that makes sense for, again, how to create the space from scratch without using a template. At a certain point, you kind of have to decide on your own, how big is this project, right? And do I want to have folders is kind of another really important question that folks have, because you can't have subfolders yet. That's something we're bringing to you in very, very soon, hopefully. But the general idea here is that there's only one layer of folders, and your folders can contain your lists. Remember, your lists contain tasks, and your tasks, you can come in and you create those subtasks like we were talking about, right? So we have subtasks, and then we have subtask 2 here. And remember, you can always click into subtasks. And if we turn on that ClickUp, you can do nested subtasks as well inside of there. Awesome. All right, so next question we have is, I have a question about sharing tasks. I have a few people that only need to see a few tasks as guests and collaborate on them. What is the best way to share with only individuals? Also on this question is, if I share a subtask, does the person see subtasks below it automatically? And tasks are above that shared subtask. How can I know which is the best way to share information with guests through tasks? So that's a great question. We're going to call back here to our overview or our mind map of how this structure is built out. And basically permissioning or privacy, as you're talking about, it's built on a top-down structure, right? So what we can do is we can take a space and we can make that whole space private, or we can take a folder and we can make that folder private, or we can take a particular list and make that list private, or we can take a task and make that task private, etc. Right? So to show you what this physically looks like, if we're on the space level here, you can see that there is a space settings, right? And here inside the space settings, we can click sharing and permissions. Now, generally speaking, you cannot share spaces with guests. I just want to put that out there. It's not currently possible to share spaces with guests, right? But you can decide who you share the space with inside of your organization. So you can add in members here and take spaces and say, whether they're private or not, or other people invited to that particular space. If you want to invite guests, you're probably going to do it on the folder or list level, where we click these three dots. So when we click these three dots, we click the sharing and permissions option. And here, what you can see is you can actually type and invite people. So we can say like example.com, John and example.com, right? So I've got a guest that I've invited. They're a guest inside my workspace. Eventually, I might want to bring them in as a potential member. But for right now, they're going to be invited on the folder level. And it looks like I'll need to upgrade to the unlimited plan again to adjust their permissioning on what's happening. But generally speaking, when you're inviting guests into your account, then you can decide, okay, what can this person do? Right now, they're generally full, right? But you can decide the permission level if you're on the unlimited plan or higher. Additionally, that's sharing, but you might want to make it private inside your workspace, right? So other people who you work with can't see it. You can always click the make private option here, and that will say that this folder is now private to me. And I have invited, obviously, this guest to join me. But if I wanted to invite other people inside my workspace, I can do it here on the folder level. Or again, I can do it on the particular list level as well. So let's come down here to this campaigns list. I can click the sharing and permissions option, and you'll see it looks identical. Or even inside of the tasks themselves, what you'll be able to do is click the sharing and permissions option, same exact way, and decide who has the options here. Now, as we mentioned, this is a top-down structure. So in this case, we have the folder set to private. That means that if I'm working on this workspace with other people, unless I invite them here or invite them to the lists or even the tasks inside those lists, they're not going to be able to see this folder, okay? Because it's top down. We set it at the folder level, and it affects all the lists which are contained inside that folder, as well as the tasks that are contained inside the list. Awesome. Heidi has said that her goal is to do something a half hour every day. That's really great. So Heidi, I've got a particular great thing here for you. There's an awesome template I love to show folks, which is if you click the three dots and you select the template center and select browse templates, and then just type in the word practice. When you type in the word practice, then there's a nice template for you to practice using ClickUp. Use this folder. So we're just going to say practice option here. And we can use this template to populate a practice folder for us, which will allow us to practice actually using ClickUp. It's going to use ClickUp to teach you ClickUp. So I highly recommend take that half hour every day, and then you can use the practice folder. And inside that practice folder, you can actually work through what it is that you want to do, right? So we can see practice here. We can open it up. You can see learn tasks. And if you click inside of learn tasks, you'll see more information about learning how to use ClickUp inside of ClickUp. Okay, so it looks like another question here is for dependencies. We are about 3 minutes over. I appreciate that. I will show you quickly, again, the general idea of dependencies. On the task level, you can click the three dots. So when you click those three dots, you can select dependencies from the dropdown. When you select dependencies from the dropdown, you have three different options. First is you can say this task is waiting on, meaning that it must be completed. Tasks must be completed before this task, right? So this task is waiting on other tasks. You can also select the idea of blocking other tasks. So this task can't start, so a task can't start until this is completed, right? So we can click the blocking, and we can say this is blocking homepage or blocking task number 3 or whatever it is that we select there. And we can also say that this thing is waiting, etc. We can select that. And when you select these dependencies, they're going to be visible on the task level up here above so that you can see those particular dependencies, and you can click directly to those tasks, or you can see it's a nice little backlink here to also see something is blocking. So consider adding those dependencies inside of your account. And next question is when we can use templates, can you copy them easy to each client folder? Yeah, it's very easy to do that. So anytime that you've added a folder, so we can click the three dots here, what you'll be able to see is the option to duplicate. You can always click the option to duplicate where it'll say, practice copy. We can give it a second to copy that folder. Once it has copied that folder inside the account, it's really easy to be able to move folders, lists, or tasks in between different spaces inside of the hierarchy. One thing we'll show you here is, let's just click this folder. So if we had, we'll click the three dots. When we click the three dots, there's the option to move. When we click the option to move, then you can select the particular space you want to move it to, and we can select the move option to move that folder. Or if we wanted to take, a list, same way, just click that move option and you can pick particular folders or spaces that you really want it to come to. The final question that it appears we have here is, will business days be coming to reoccurring tasks soon? And the answer is, I don't know that off the top of my head. However, I really, really want to show you guys the idea of feedback.clickup.com, where you can see all of our feature requests inside. And if you have any feature requests, check it out. We'll show you which ones we actually have planned and which ones are actually in progress. So you can know exactly what we are working on, and you can come here to see that yourself. Additionally, you may have just random quick questions. If you do, this is kind of my outro, folks, then you'll want to talk with our support team. So in the bottom left-hand corner, what you're going to be able to see is three of those circles, right? If we click those circles, you can click the help option. And when you click the help option, you can do some self-service with our docs, or you can select the connect with ClickUp option here, which will allow you to ask for setup assistance or talk to sales, or perhaps just talk to our support team, where it will enable you to start sending us emails, as well as potentially select the live chat option here in the bottom right, where you can have live chat with us in order to take care of you. Our support team is top notch. Our literally our number one company value is to try and deliver the best customer experience anyone has ever had, right? Not only in our industry, but just ever. We really want to be there to take care of you and help you to succeed inside of ClickUp. So do not hesitate to reach out to us. We don't charge you for support. You can speak to us about anything that you want, and we will help, okay? That said, this webinar was being recorded. If you do want to get a copy of it, feel free to reach out to our support team, and it should be posted on our website as well. And then what I'd really love to hear is some feedback on this webinar if possible, folks, because this is a new thing we're testing out. If you have any feedback for how we can improve it, we really want to hear it, because we really want to make sure we're delivering value to you every day. That's all I have. Again, my name is John Bowman. Thank you all for joining us today. I hope you have a great day, okay? Bye-bye now.